Welcome to the latest episode of Mobility Conversations. Our guest today is Mr. Sudhir Malhotra, Vice President Sales and Marketing at Renault India Private Limited. Sudhir, it's a pleasure to have you on our program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dipanshu, for hosting me today. It's great to be with you, and thanks for this meeting.
Wonderful. Sudhir, we are in extremely, I would say, difficult yet exciting times, right? And let's begin by talking about the current market situation, the pandemic, right? How did Renault India deal with it? And what did Renault India focus on to sort of emerge out of it?
So yes, this has been a torrid time. I would say very turbulent for everyone, not just the industry. I would say for everyone. And what we've seen through pandemic is, of course, when we got the first wave of pandemic, we thought it's well past us, but then the second wave hit us, which was even more severe. So if I see, there was very clearly certain areas that were of prime focus for us as an organization. The primest of them was Dipanshu, the safety, health, and well-being of our all stakeholders. Our customers, our dealers, our employees. So the first thing that was done was to adapt to this new COVID protocols all across, learning them, training our teams, and getting them into the culture of the organization, be it at Renault India or at our dealerships. So that was, I would say, the first focus that emerged for us. And in the process, we have adapted to the new normal. There are new protocols for how the workshops should function, how the sales showrooms should function, how the test drives should be given, etc., etc. So there's a whole new protocols that were devised to take care of, I would say, safety of the customers first, of course, the employees at the dealerships, our own employees. And going forward, post that, it was important for us to also ensure that we take care of all anxieties that emerge out of such a pandemic. When I say that, from a customer's viewpoint, it is something that they are more concerned about whether the free services will be there or not, or whether they get extended, the warranty periods. So what we did was an automatic extension of all these requirements of our customers. At the same time, there was a support that was extended to our dealers to cushion this shock of the pandemic. And when I say support, it's more to do with the financial packages. And on the employee front, and it's not just but all our dealers' employees, we've been able to garner support to ensure vaccination, because that's again, in the current time and scenario, that's very, very important. So I would say, as we emerge out of pandemic, the first main priority has been about safety, health, and well-being of all. And while we progress through the pandemic, through the lockdowns, I come to the next level of focus that came out loud and clear, and that was the digital focus. Because what we are seeing is, and you would have witnessed through your own journalism as well, everywhere around us, the digital has become so very important. Right. And it was with that intent that there has been a strong digital focus in the organization. So what we call in the industry as the top of the funnel, which is all the prospects. So how do we help them do that journey with ease? So what we've done is we have created I would say a wonderful 3D visualizer where our prospects can actually virtually go through the product and select their accessories, select the colors, make their own configurations on their mobiles or on the laptops. So that's the first part that we started working upon. So a digital journey accentuated with this 3D visualizer, and we didn't stop there. We had our booking engines, weaved into the website, so right. could do their digital bookings online. And that's been, I would say, a very, we saw a fairly good response there. Going forward, how do you, in our industry, finances is important. So we also prepared a finance module digitally so that people could apply, our prospects and bookings could, customers could apply for finance and also get an approval of finance online. And apart from that, we have a chatbot. We created a chatbot, one of the first to create, and which is in English today. But by the end of this month, it will go live on 3 languages further: Hindi, Tamil, Marathi. So we're getting multilingual while going digital strongly. So what I would say is that there is a huge journey of the customer that has been digitized. Right. And that has been one of the focus of the organization emerging out of this pandemic. In fact, we have a tool of My Renault, as we call it, which a consumer can use to understand what about the history of his car. It's his connect with his own car, and it's his connect with his dealership, and it is connect with Renault India. So, so that's a very strong tool, and that's an app where the consumer is updated. He remains updated about his car, and the car's history, and right. about all of us. So I would say that's the second priority. And another area that we thought and we felt was to be focused upon was rural. Of course, it came to us from the earlier experiences, but then during this phase, I would say last 1.5, 2 years, this has become a strong focus area for us. And so we're going rural as well strongly. And this has an element of new relationships that we have carved out. We have created a new, or I would say an innovative network. Innovative in the sense that we've created what we call as Vistar, expanse or amplify. So that's the network that we've created. It is low value asset, but still gives the right experience to our prospects in the rural belt. So not intimidating, yet very warm. So that's the whole concept. And so we've been able to generate this network, and we have built up relationships. Something like if you know of the CSC Grameen e-store, this is a initiative under Digital India by the government of India, and we are the first of the 4-wheelers to get associated with them. These are small villages, and you've got village level entrepreneurs who are doing digital business in these villages or talukas. And we've come across them and made partnership with this CSE Grameen store, and we're going strong there as well. And further extending our reach into rural is our rural float. We've taken a mobile showroom, and we've been pushing it through villages where we are not present. So we've gone ahead, extended our service, our network, both in service and after sales, sales and after sales, 500 plus touch points in both. But we are furthering it with the usage of these rural floats. So that's further added on to our reach and the focus that we were talking about.
So clearly the newer dynamics of the market have sort of also called for a lot of innovation, not just in products, but processes, retail, and your focus on digitization. Give me a sense of how have customers reciprocated to your digital initiatives? What's been the response here?
So in terms of if I see the number of website visits, so they have more than tripled in terms of the numbers that we are seeing in today's scenario. The digital bookings have gone up almost 50% up. And that's the kind of impact that we've seen through this phase of digitalization. So much so that we have now created also a website. Our website has gone bilingual now. Just a few days back, we've gone bilingual and we've created this Hindi website because we also are seeing that this phenomena is growing further. So we need to take a complete reach. We need to take the complete I would say strength of this digitization.
So in terms of products, Sudhir, of course, the market, we had lockdowns almost all across the country. But if you look at the last 1 year, how have your products really performed in the market?
If I was to say over 2019 versus 20 versus 21, uh, if I was to talk about volume growth, same period, H1, because we just completed June. So year on year, we are one of the brands that have grown in volumes. 2019, so 2021 over 2020 and 2020 over 2019. So that's one part. Right. But if I have to come down to each and individual product, I think they've been very widely accepted because the products that we have been creating and they've had, we are known for our innovation and disruption. And each product comes out with its own unique offering for India in that sense. So I'll take you back to 2012 when Duster was launched. And till that point in time, the SUV was considered to be something in luxury segment. So it created a new segment altogether at the time of its launch. And the saga continued, I would say, when we launched Quid. And in Quid, we've had, in 2015, small car with an SUV stance. Right. So the design got inspired from SUV, and it was offering certain features for the first time in its segment, something like a touch screen, media nav, and later on even the rear camera. So all these features got introduced, and it's highly accepted today. We have sold more than 350,000 Quids in India, and then came in Triber. And Triber, I think, is again a unique offering in terms of its spaciousness, the ultra modularity that it brings, and of course, still at an affordable price. So, and the way the designers in France and India worked together to bring Triber out has been really great. And the current 4-star rating that we've got from GNCAP on our safety on Triber is testimony to what our designers, engineers, and manufacturing has done all together. And we've sold more than 80,000 Tribers now, and it's going strong from there. And the recent offering is, of course, Kiger, the sporty, smart, stunning. You see, maybe it's there in the backdrop as well. Yes. With me, and so it's creating its own waves, and the offering has got 2 different engines, energy engine and a turbo engine, and it also spans the 2 pedals. So there's an AMT which is mated with the energy engine, and then there is this turbo engine which is mated with the CVT. So even the 2 pedal, I would say, spectrum is broad with Kiger, and it gives those kind of offerings to our customers to choose from. So in a nutshell, still running into, and Kiger is running into, I would say, waiting periods, and has got a phenomenal response from there. From
so what's the waiting period for the Kiger currently?
So there are certain variants which are going up to 16 weeks in their waiting time, and so we're trying to see how we can reduce these by meeting up to their expectations of.
Right. So Sudhir, looking ahead, how does the year look like? Of course, we're heading into a festive season. What's your take on that?
So Dipanshu, firstly, if we look back, this year has been, though of course both last year and this year both were impacted by COVID, and this year was severely impacted, but the recovery has been fast. In fact, it's surprised all of us the way the things recovered, and the TIV, the total industry volumes, are higher than the last year.
Yeah.
And it has caught some of us analysts by surprise, and a pleasant surprise. So, if we have to tread the same curve, what we expect is that this TIV growth will continue. As we saw, there is no zero as in the April of last year. So there's already a base on which the TIV is continuing to grow, and hence, first of all, the coming months look strong. The only thing that I would say we'll have to apply caution about is all of us and the society at large will have to be cautious about things around us so that we avoid the third wave, which is now being talked about. So that's the only detriment which can dent the numbers. Otherwise, the industry looks stronger. And if I have to talk about Renault, we launched Kiger. And when we launched Kiger in the month of March was the first month that we got of retail, and April onwards the lockdowns started happening, and we've now just come out of it. So we've still not, I would say, fully utilized the launch potential of our new baby. And at the same time, we'd also introduced the Triber, the new model year for Triber, and we've not even gone into the campaigns of Triber. So for us, we are looking forward to these the next half very enthusiastically, and I do hope, and I feel that as the walk-ins are coming back into the showrooms, and industry is growing, and we've got the right products for the industry, for the consumer, it should be a good time in the coming 6 months.
So the next question, Sudhir, really is, if you could give us a sense of some of the factors that you think are actually going to push this growth that you have talked about in the market.
Okay, so Dipanshu, if I have to look at one part is coming out of the pandemic itself, I would say, because there is definitely a feeling of personal mobility, which we can find in our consumers, in our acquaintances, people around us. So there is a focus on personal mobility, which is gaining grounds, and that should drive some part of the demand or that is driving some part of the demand that we are seeing today. The other is, as we were talking about rural focus or rural, so that's another factor. As we see, of course, pandemic has hit rural, but still not to that extent. And there is definitely an aspiration in the rural belt. And in all researches that are coming in, there is a strong economic affluence coming into rural belts. So that's another part that is supposedly driving our industry. The recently announced scrappage policy of the government, and in fact, incidentally, we have already initiated our own incentives basis the scrappage, and I think that would also lead to a fair demand coming into our industry in the coming weeks, months. But all these factors should combine together to move the pedal for the industry. Then it is the used cars. That also, as the cars are getting old and they're getting shifted to people who are graduating from the two-wheelers to a used car, and from a used car to a new car. So we are seeing again a strong used car growth, and that is going to further fuel the new car growth. So that's how I think all these factors put together should help the industry to grow further.
Right. Right. So you've already touched upon one factor about, the growth in personal mobility pushed by the pandemic, of course, that sort of coming up. If I have to ask you about how is Renault really looking at the potential of the electric mobility scenario?
So, Renault is one of the leading global uh, OEMs in
Right.
electric mobility. And in fact, there have been quite a bit of recent announcements on how strongly the Renault Group is going to pursue this electric mobility across. Now, India, we still are, I would say, in a nascent stage. And what Renault feels that if we have to introduce something electric, it has to be affordable. It has to be for the masses, which means that it has to come with a strong localization content. At the same time, uh, this should happen in a very strong uh, collaborative EV ecosystem. What I mean by this EV ecosystem is that uh, the OEMs, along with the state governments and the central government, they should all work together to create an ecosystem uh, which is going to fuel this EV demand. Uh, so, uh, so this part, I would say, would be the most critical in developing EV and electric mobility in India.
Okay. One final question, Sudhir. The supply chain challenges that we have seen worldwide, how has that really impacted Renault in India?
Hmm. So, it's I would say supply chain challenges. Renault has not been immune to those, but this I would say uh, has had impact all over on two areas. One is the new car. The other is the parts. Now, if we have to look at the supply chain issues, they've been there for quite some time now. The pandemic impacted, the suppliers themselves, the small suppliers. In fact, in Alliance, there are more than 300 tier one suppliers itself for us, and the working hours, the holidays or the lockdowns, the lack of skilled labor has had its impact on one part of the supply chain. The absence of transportation, or I would say skeletal transportation in quite a few period, has added to another part of this problem of supply chain. And we've also had our own issues. So to resolve that, there has been, I would say, a strong CFT, a team which is spanning all the stakeholders in the organization, right from supply chain to purchasing to production to engineering to logistics. So there's been a strong CFT that has been working along with our corporate teams, because this has been a big task
Right.
to put together, to stitch together solutions to this supply chain. So I can say that with all the efforts across, there has been not any significant line stoppages. With but at the same time, the supply chain can also impact how the parts warehouses, or how do we supply parts to our consumers. So one part is the cars, as I was saying, the other is the parts. So how are we supplying parts to our dealers for our consumers and use? And there again, there were solutions that we stacked up the parts for consumer usage and for our dealers, I would say. And we ended up, or we are, in the first half of this year, we are almost at fill rates of 97%. When I say fill rate, it means if my dealer has ordered me 100 lines of parts, I've been able to service 97 lines out of those, which is a very good figure, even otherwise. So that's
Right.
the kind of, I would say, the results that we've been able to to get to the right numbers despite all these challenges on the supply chain.
Thank you, Sudhir. Thank you for speaking to Mobility Outlook. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipanshu.